Ladies and gentlemen, it's the beginning of the end. Today we're covering Season 1, Episode 8 of Crashing, Baptism, so don't move a muscle.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I like to make money get time. I like to make money get
Jeff
time.
chose this song.
Are you surprised?
What?
Ladies and
I've
gentlemen,
never heard this song in my life. I'm very surprised.
the only reason I know this song, to be fair, is there's a movie that came out this summer called American Honey that if any of you guys haven't seen, I'd highly recommend. This song was in the trailer. But we'll talk about... I know.
This is ass-shaking music, Jeff.
That's great. Ash shaking?
Ass-shaking. Oh, it was ass-shaking before it was twerking.
Ass shaking.
Ass shaking.
Yeah, great. Well, we should probably talk about the show we're here to cover, which is Crashing. I could talk about American Honey, though. It's great. Really good movie. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crashing After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. As you all know, my name is Jeff Graham. This is it, guys.
I know, I'm sad.
Episode 8.
It went by quick.
It went by very quick.
Very fast.
If you guys want to find me on Twitter, you can do that at Jeffrey C. Graham. And I'd love for y'all to say hi to the peeps.
Hi, peeps. I'm Josh Rodriguez. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Josh_Rodriguez_.
Super fast and newscasty. I love it.
Thank you.
My name is Mina Wahab. You can find me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic.
Well, guys, last episode of the season went
fast.
very fast, but I liked it. I don't know. What did you guys think of episode 8?
I liked it too. I'm not really sure if I liked. Can we talk about the ending? Can I talk about it?
Yeah,
or
let's
should
talk.
I save it?
Overall reactions, including the ending.
Okay,
If you haven't
so-
seen this show, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast. So, spoiler alert. Go ahead.
I did like it. I'm very shocked that it ended with Leaf and Pete together, like in the last scene, like sticking it out like that. I'm not sure if I like that yet. I guess I have to wait until season 2 to see where they're gonna take that.
Cool.
No, but I did like it because it wasn't as predictable. I thought Jess was going to be crawling back to Pete, and she wasn't. She was more trying to find herself, and I like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mina, what do you think?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought the pastor brought in a lot of comic
Yeah,
relief.
yes.
I was very
Anthony
surprised
King,
by
see
that.
that.
Yeah,
Anthony
he
King?
was
Okay.
funny. He was
Yeah.
really funny.
It's a UCB guy.
I don't know. I liked that whole scene of just being in the woods and finding themselves, and the ending was very entertaining.
Artie was strong.
Artie was very strong. I really liked all of the guests. One thing I'll say consistently about this whole show is all of the guest actors I've really enjoyed. I don't think there's been any duds in terms of like one episode people.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm actually kind of disappointed because Bill Burr was listed on the cast list
You're
for
right.
season
He
1,
never showed up.
and that's my favorite comedian, and he wasn't there, and
Yeah.
I'm very sad about that.
Yeah, it's a
Pete,
bummer.
What's up, man? Why wasn't Bill there?
Pete, where's our friend Billy Burr?
Where's Billy Burr?
We did get to see Jim Norton. That was
We did.
fun.
I'm also a big fan of Jim Norton.
Yeah. And we got to see Natalie Morales.
That's her name. I didn't know who she was.
She played Stephanie on the episode, and I'm really excited to talk about her.
Okay.
Once we get there, but
I've seen her before.
Mina was saying she might be in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I don't know what she's in. I've seen her before.
Yeah.
She has a very recognizable face, but I can't put a face to
We have
the
a
show.
fantastic producer in the booth. Marissa, would you mind kind of looking up Natalie Morales and seeing if you can find anything that
Alright.
buzzes your awareness of TV? Marissa knows a lot of TV very well.
She
so.
definitely does.
I liked this episode a lot too. I thought it was pretty different, which I thought was fine for a season finale. And I feel like it got as high stakes and plotty as this show will ever get.
Yes.
Which I appreciated because I think that's like the right move for a season finale. Something that this show I think could maybe tighten up a bit is just it can be a little wandery for me in terms of the plot. Which is kind of Judd. Like, his shows are very loose. But there was moments in this episode and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I need this for, like, the season finale. Like, this scene right now. I feel like we could have saved this maybe for an earlier episode. But, like, it's kind of nice in the season finale to sort of be on the edge of your seat. Which I think Girls does really well. And I think it's easy to compare this show to Girls because they're both kind of...
Season finale next week.
I know.
Sunday. I'm so excited.
I listen to the Girls After Show as well, so
cool.
Mina's on that in case any of you guys...
I love Girls. It's so good.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch this show probably also watch Girls because they air in the same hour, but I think Girls does a really good job, even with sort of the low concept, sometimes low stakes situations of really amping up their season finale, and I thought this one could have used a bit more focus maybe, but I also still really liked it. I thought it was very funny, which is important in a comedy.
I thought it kind of came full circle too, because if you remember the very first episode, there was something in it that cracked me up where you see like the whole juxtaposition between the Jesus painting and then them having sex. And in this episode, there was kind of that whole thing again where, you know, Pete's at the strip club,
Right.
you know, area of sin.
Yeah.
And then it goes from the strip club to him wanting to go to the baptism and that being on his mind even when he's in the strip club.
Yeah.
And then you see that whole, like, juxtaposition of sin and religiosity or like piety in the whole scene where they're putting Jess on blast for cheating and for doing all these things, and then Leaf coming in and saying like, I am God, you are God, and like saying all these blasphemous things that he thinks are hippie-ish and peaceful.
That's very astute. I think you're right. And yeah, I did kind of appreciate how this show, religion and spirituality always has been an undertone throughout this whole show. So I didn't mind, and I actually liked that they focused on it for this episode. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about the focus on religion in this episode. Again, we kind of see each of the characters espousing their own Christianity. I think maybe we should start by talking about Jess in this episode.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like this was the same Jess we saw all season?
No, not at all. I mean, my predictions throughout the whole season were that she was going to come back to Pete, because I think that's more of who she is as a person, you know, religious, calm, easygoing, not so much Leaf. I didn't realize that she leaned that much on her religion, though.
I know.
That kind of surprised me. I thought that was more Pete's thing, and I thought maybe she did it because of Pete, and maybe she went to church because she was married to Pete, and that's what Pete likes to do. I didn't realize that her character was that religious, so that was interesting to see for me.
Yeah, what do you think, Mina?
I mean, I feel like she's still the same Jess in a lot of ways. Like, she still has that same frustration that she had in the very first episode when we see her frustrated with Pete. Now she's frustrated with Leaf, but for a different reason. She's just not fulfilled in her relationships, and that's why I think she's going in the right direction by trying to find herself, as opposed to ending up with either of them.
Because she's not fulfilled with herself. That's really what it comes down to.
I don't know what the problem is with her. They never really like dug in deep, because she's not the main protagonist in this TV show. But I'd like to learn more about that next season. Like, why is she frustrated? What is the root of, you know, her frustration, and why does she feel so like lost and disconnected from everything? Yeah,
it's funny. On my first viewing, I watched it twice. I felt like the first time I watched it, I wasn't sure about this choice to have Jess kind of have her come to Jesus moment. But on my second viewing, I actually really liked it. And I thought the show handled it in kind of a really beautiful way. I've sort of talked about this whole time. I like how this show doesn't really approach Christianity with any kind of perspective, like pointed perspective. There's times in the show where, you know, Christians are presented as interesting, complicated, nuanced people, and there's times in the show when Christians are kind of presented as very narrow-minded, like the worst kind of Christians.
But I think they treat it with respect. I mean, atheists, Christians, my God, we can talk. Comedians are known
Christian
to be
comedian atheists.
They're known to be atheists or agnostic at least, and it's you see it a lot in comedy where they make fun of religion or Christianity, and I think this show actually put I wouldn't say on a pedestal, but they gave it enough respect. They actually gave it a lot of respect in my mind, even when they were making fun of it. I mean, they took it as a serious religion, a serious thought, a serious train of thought. What was the character's name who was talking to Artie?
Stephanie was her name in the show.
I mean, she was putting up legitimate arguments of why people believe in Christianity. It wasn't a joke. Like, it was like, this is why X, Y, Z. You know, I'm sure Pete feels that way as well. I mean, I haven't really talked to Pete about his, you know, spirituality, but I do know that he is a Christian, and I'm sure he has some of those views. So.
Right. Yeah, I kind of got the impression in this episode that Stephanie was the vessel for what Pete, like current day Pete, actually thinks.
Yes, I agree.
If you listen to his podcast, it's very much the like, he's not necessarily like just all Christian, but he would say Jesus is probably the spiritual leader he most closely follows. But he's very interested in the idea of God.
Yes.
Just like, who is God, what is God, where is God? And I felt like that was kind of what Stephanie was espousing with Artie.
I agree.
I love how he's like, this isn't all man-made. And he's just like, how do you know it's not man-made? How could you possibly know? And he's like, that's convincing. I guess it's not man-made.
I don't know why. When he mentioned the Teamsters Union, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
My dad's a union guy, so I just kind of
setting up props.
Yeah.
Set design.
Yeah, I think for me, in this episode and kind of consistently throughout the whole season, Christianity's just been a vessel by which characters show who they are.
Yeah.
So, like, we saw, like, the pastor, who was just awful, but so funny. But
I loved him.
Like, the way he took Christianity was, like, kind of the gross way to take Christianity.
Yeah, he represented the worst of Christianity. Not the worst, but...
Yeah.
But kind of, like, seeing everything as, like, black or white, and your sin, like, just judging everything.
Like, even when Jess wanted to baptize herself, and he's like, no, this is not the way to do it.
Right, exactly.
This doesn't count.
Yeah, there's a 3-week class.
Yeah, like, and
Mondays and Tuesdays, 9 to 4.
For me, who's someone I consider myself to be agnostic, like, those are the things about Christianity. I'm like, if she wants to be baptized, let her be baptized. Like, she's trying to find it, and you're just rejecting her because of a ceremony.
I so agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Pete would agree with you, too.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. It's like the rituals and the rules of Christianity that can really destroy what it
she's
actually
trying to
stands
find
for.
your God. Let her find your God.
Right.
Let her, that's what she wants to do. Let her do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for
feel like
sure.
everyone was being born again this episode. It was almost like a blank slate for
was-
everyone. Like even the imagery at the end with Artie just going into
That was so funny.
the cross-shaped thing and just going head first. And
It's kind of beautiful, though, I thought.
It was.
I really thought it was kind of a nuanced. I think Judd is good at this stuff. I think he does this well in girls, too. But
it was
it's
definitely intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a very non-judgmental approach to Christianity. It's just like the judgments and the perspectives come from the characters and not at all from the show, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Which I really appreciate because I'm, as someone who goes to church and would call himself a Christian, I feel like I don't see this often on TV, of kind of like the complicated diversity of evangelicals that you find. And like I do have to say, this like outdoor baptism ceremony, they nailed it. I've been to these before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like the people that were there, the feel of it, the tone of it was just perfect.
The pool
So-
that's across.
yeah, I haven't seen it like
Okay.
that, but like I've seen like dunk tanks like
Is
that.
it really like that? Wow, I'm
Yeah.
completely ignorant to that. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, I mean, like I
Wait,
really
did you say
think.
dunk tanks, like the things that you throw the thing at
Can
and
you
then you
imagine?
fall into
I thought
the...
it was at a church. You go to a church and
Yeah, they can be. Some
Okay.
churches have like baptism altars. That's actually more of an Orthodox thing, though. And so Pete's Christianity is more like evangelical, kind of new age Protestant.
Was that how you were baptized? If you don't mind me asking.
No,
Like
it's fine.
were?
You can ask.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. The church I went to was more like child dedication baptism, but
Okay.
the church I went to in college did it this way, where like adults.
Oh wow.
Because the idea is like, why as a kid you don't have any will, someone is forcing you to be baptized, whereas if you're an adult and you're making that choice, it's a public declaration of your faith. Why wouldn't an adult? And in the Bible, actually, that's how John the Baptist would do it. Is like adults would actually do baptisms because they actually have the will to say whether or not they want to be baptized.
Okay.
In case any of you guys were wondering on a religiosity
cool
level.
discussion.
Consensual baptism.
Exactly, consensual baptism.
That's very interesting.
But yeah, I appreciated that, and
Do you think, like, did Judd Apatow, he probably got a lot of input from Pete, right? Because he's Jewish.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's not even Christian, so I
Exactly.
wonder how much of it, like, he's familiar with.
Well, Pete and Judd co-wrote this episode, and I actually think Pete's religion. I think at the beginning of his career, it was probably tough as a Christian comic, but now the thing I respect and appreciate is it's kind of something that's really given him a voice and point of view, which is important as a comic to have a kind of a distinguishing factor that makes you stand out in the crowd.
Right.
And people appreciate it. Like that's one of the things about his podcast that's so interesting is the guests always talk about God. And it's in the same way as the show, it's never in a condescending way. It's never in a pointed way. It's just in a let's talk about God way, which is cool.
Right.
Yeah, so I liked this. I liked the religiosity of this episode, and I liked how it was kind of given to us.
Yeah, it was presented very well. Different points of views. I liked how Artie handled the conversation too. He wasn't very condescending. He was very open-minded, and at the end, you couldn't tell whether or not he accepted Christianity or the word of it, but he was very open-minded, and it seemed like he found some sort of spirituality within himself.
For sure.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
That being said, it's funny because I agree with that, and I liked that thematically. I kind of, part of me was like, why are we here with Artie and Stephanie? I feel like in terms of the plot and the season finale, I wasn't super into this. Besides, like, the worldview that it offered, I thought was
it didn't advance anything.
Yeah, do you guys agree with me?
Yeah, I
or
do,
Well,
actually.
maybe it was more about him and Pete, in the sense that when Pete says that he's willing to give up comedy for Jess, it like specifically shows Artie's facial expression right afterwards, kind of like a look of shock. So in my
Explain that again. To be totally honest, Mina, I zoned out for like 10 seconds. I don't know if you saw my eyes, but I like all of a sudden thought of something. Just say exactly what you said
so
again.
funny.
I'm so here.
no, I love how honest you are
Just be honest.
because I do that all the time, and I
It sounded so interesting, and I was like, damn it, I missed it again. I need you to just say it
it's-
again.
I was just saying. What was I saying?
Oh, no.
No. I was just saying that.
Something about Artie comedy.
Yeah, I was saying that Pete Holmes' character, remember when he declares his love again for Jess and how they're meant to be together? And are you zoning out again,
No,
by the
I'm
way?
listening.
Okay. You're listening. Okay, now that I'm making eye contact with you. And he says something like, yeah, I'm willing to give up stand-up comedy. Like, I want to have kids, and I want to do this, and I want to do that with you. And then the camera specifically shows Artie's facial expression as he's saying that. So
You're
I feel
right.
like that's almost a telling moment for next season. You know, is he willing to give up stand-up comedy for Jess? I mean, just the fact, even Jess doesn't want him, so that's not going to happen. But the thing is, him willing to give something up like that, people who go into stand-up comedy, they're giving it their all.
Yeah.
Like, nothing else is their priority. So I feel like you see Artie's facial expression. It's like, hey, you're supposed to be 100% in this. Why are you living on my couch if you're not going to pursue comedy?
I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Once we get into predictions, I'm really excited to talk about that crossroads because I think it's going to play into a lot of what we see in the second season. I mean, it's interesting. I brought up, I'm not sure about this Artie Stephanie subplot. I didn't mind it. Again, I liked what it presented thematically, and I really liked Natalie Morales' performance. I was very interested. Did you notice how raspy her voice was?
No, I didn't. You did?
From the cigarettes.
I guess that's what it is. It's almost interesting. No. It's almost one of those things where you wonder if, like, she came to set with no voice, and they were like, well, it works so well for the character.
That's a good question to ask Pete.
It happens like sometimes on sets. And, like, what's interesting is with such a low budget, if this were season 5, they could probably postpone production. Yeah. But I'm sure as season 1, they're like, we got to shoot today. Like, make it work. So I thought it really added to the character, but I wonder if it was a choice or if it was
That's interesting.
I feel like it was accidental, like what you were saying. I really do, because why would that be a random thing they want to add in there?
Yeah.
I think with the Artie thing, though, I think sometimes scenes are just meant to be enjoyed. You don't have to advance the plot.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
So maybe it was just one of those things that, hey, this will be funny, or this will be a nice thing to put in the episode. It doesn't have to necessarily be, mean anything. I mean, it does set up his character for season 2 if they do.
It does. I think the way I felt, I totally agree with you. Yeah. I feel like in a season finale, I don't know if I want that, though, was part of it.
That's
but
fair.
I also know what you mean. I'm being hypocritical because I could see myself saying the same thing of, like, it was all plot and none of the extra stuff. I feel like sometimes I do that when I host.
When it comes to the plot, though, I don't know if you have it in the notes or if I'm skipping around, but just coming to my head, I wish they would have had some of Pete's stand-up.
I know.
Or some of his challenges facing the stand-up. I mean, I feel like the Jess and Pete plot and the Pete trying to make it in the stand-up industry were fighting for the A plot this whole season. Yeah. And I think that's probably my biggest, I wouldn't say like critique of the season, but
frustration maybe.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's been definitely balanced in the direction, like, I feel like it's like 70 or like 60-40, and I feel like it's been more stand-up than it has been.
Right, but if it's 60-40 more in stand-up, then why are you ending it with...
To make it 50-50.
I know what you mean. Okay.
No, I don't know, but it didn't feel like a season finale.
I think they should have ended the season with Pete doing stand-up and something with his career going forward with what just happened with Jess.
I think I agree, yeah.
Instead of just ending it with him and Leaf. I understand, like, making that dynamic happen and, like, oh, now he's with Leaf, what's going to happen? But I still think there should have been something with, like, all right, now this is what's happening in his career. Because right now, we don't know what's happening in his career.
Maybe Leaf's going to go into stand-up.
The whole thing with Rachel Ray happened. We don't know if he's fired or whatnot from that. We don't know what direction he's going in with his career. So now we just have a bunch of question marks.
Yeah, I know. I think I agree with you. That was one of the things. Sometimes I'll read just a couple recaps before we go on air because that's one of the luxuries we get, being a second day taping. But I think that was the big divisive thing is some people loved the abandonment of stand-up and kind of creating something totally different, and some people were frustrated with that because like it's that thing where I've always kind of thought as a TV creator, writer, if someone's tuning into your show only once, that episode should at least hint at kind of what the overall show is.
Yes.
And this episode didn't necessarily feel like an episode of Crashing.
It was more of a romantic comedy.
But I liked it still. Yeah. But it's a valid point. I don't know if I agree, but I think it's a very valid point. And a lot of people agree with you, actually. A lot of fans. What do you think about that? Do you wish we would have seen more Pete stand-up career?
No, I actually like that it ended that way because I feel like it leaves us wondering what his stand-up is going to be like for the beginning of season 2. Yeah.
But now we don't even know if obviously he's still pursuing stand-up, but I mean, what he said to Jess, like, comedy doesn't matter. Now is the second season just going to be him chasing after Jess, trying to show her that stand-up comedy doesn't matter to him? Is he going to stop doing stand-up comedy? Like, what's going on with him?
I feel like it was just a moment of vulnerability because he saw an opportunity and he wanted to get her
I agree.
back.
And
I don't think it's
someone,
like
you'll pretty much say anything, or you'll feel that in the
moment.
And
I guess that's our cliffhanger too, is we don't know. So
honestly, and that's true. Leaving questions out there is a good thing.
Right.
So, I think we do know though, because I think he's definitely still pursuing stand-up comedy just from the basis of the show being Crashing, and it's a Judd Apatow produced thing. It's going to be about stand-up. There's no way they're going to change everything to make it,
To play devil's advocate, though, I mean, he got fired from Rachel Ray. Right. We haven't seen him do anything in stand-up, and he was at the strip club at Artie. He wasn't, like, focusing on his career.
Yeah.
And then he told Jess, like I just said, I will drop stand-up comedy.
We shouldn't rule it off the table.
Right. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, the first... Okay, true.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if the first 2 or 3 episodes are him not doing any comedy. It's him chasing Jess, and then maybe midway through season 2, he's like, hey, what am I doing?
Right.
So I could see that being like a storyline.
I could see that too.
I want to see Sarah Silverman again. I never thought I'd ever say that.
Because
I was
she won you.
Yeah, she really won me over that episode, especially when we had our
awesome.
guests come in and talk about what she's like in real life and how it's very similar to how she was like in the episode. I really want to see her again.
I want to see Bill Burr. And Hannibal Buress.
I'm excited.
I'm just gonna name all my favorites.
I know.
I'm just gonna name Louis C.K. and Dave Chappelle. That's
I definitely want to devote a section of our coverage to all of what we want to see next season.
Yeah.
Before we do that, quickly, I do want to talk about some of the funny in this episode because there was a lot of funny stuff. We've been talking a lot about the serious and religious themes, but Pete at the strip club. How did you guys feel about that scene overall?
God, it was so uncomfortable.
Did you think it was funny or just uncomfortable?
No, I thought it was funny when she's saying, "I make $1,800 a night.
Yeah.
Like, how much do you make?"
Right.
Yeah, and she was just like throwing a lot of shade back at him, and it was funny.
It was very funny.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked just watching. I love the situation of like prudish guy getting a lap dance. Like I've seen this before, but this was very funny for some reason to me.
He's like, "This is degrading. I feel so bad."
Yeah.
What
about? Do you guys think Pete was out of line when he said that? This is degrading.
I kind of look at intention sometimes more than action, which
Yeah.
isn't the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Because actions matter a lot. But
Yeah.
for me, I look at the intention a lot of the time to see why someone did something, and I feel like it came out of a place of guilt on his end. You know,
I
he
think
didn't
in
want to
TV
do anything.
criticism, that's good to look at the intentions of characters versus the action, especially if you cover girls. I think that's a huge thing of that show.
Yeah,
but-
like what's the motivating force behind what
Right.
they do?
I did like this. I mean, I might be getting ahead, but I like when he said, "My name's Peter," short for Pete.
I wrote that down actually.
Yeah,
That was really funny.
And again, the thing I liked about this, we've talked about the guest stars on this show and like kind of advice and wisdom coming from unlikely characters. She was like a comedy nerd. That was so funny. She called him a "Spank it, you Jim Gaffigan ripoff." That was the last, that was the last thing we heard her say.
Yeah.
So great. I thought that was awesome.
Like, are you trying to be like Cat Williams? And he's like, "No, I have my own style."
Yeah. I sometimes feel like HBO is just like so nudity focused, and I was like, oh, here we go, boobs. Like it wasn't gonna be an HBO show unless we got a strip club scene.
Yeah.
But I really like how they kind of put the stripper stereotype and they upended it like that.
Like she's a multi-dimensional.
She's a multi-dimensional comedy nerd
character.
who's also a stripper who like calls Pete out for being a degenerate. And yeah, it's nice. There's so many times as an actress you probably get cast as a stripper, and it's like a very like typical part, and that's a fun part for an actress to play that version of a stripper.
Strippers have depth too.
Strippers have lots of depth. I don't know if you guys have seen The Big Short, but that was also a great scene. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we're missing, but I think we kind of have covered the episode.
Do they really call it tag in real life, by the way?
No.
Time alone with God.
He was hilarious.
That was
That whole scene
so
with him
funny.
praying with Pete in his
I
office.
know. Yeah, such a funny, and that's so accurate of like.
Is it?
Yeah, it's so gross. Christians will do this to like gossip. They'll be like, "I need you to pray for me. Tell me all the shit you've done this week."
Oh my
It's like, isn't that the worst?
That is terrible.
Like we pray for the debaucherous and wicked actions that Pete has done this week. We pray for the arson and the drug usage.
I would
It's
literally
very
just
funny.
want to be like, you know, at the confessional, I want to be on the other side, just listening to all of it, and then like opening the window and being like, "Who is this?"
Oh
Like,
my goodness.
For
tell
sure.
me everything.
But he was great. Yeah, tag. And I don't mean running around chasing each other. His delivery was so awesome. Okay, cool. I feel like that's mostly the episode. I do want to devote some time not only to predictions, but our overall feelings about season 1.
What about favorite lines?
Oh, favorite lines. I almost forgot.
Yes,
All right,
yeah.
Mina, you can start.
Oh, I guess mine was just there was a stand-up comic at the end. I don't know what his name was, but he said something that kind of resonated with me, which was, "Do you ever make plans with someone you don't want to hang out with, and then they cancel?" Like,
Yeah.
it's just like the best feeling.
Yeah, it is
ever.
the best feeling. Very observant.
I don't know why I found this so funny, but when Leaf was like, "You can't put the genie back in the bottle," like they're literally fighting while Jess is trying to, I guess, I don't know, is it rebaptize? Is that even a word?
I think so.
Be born
but,
again.
It was so that whole scene was hilarious.
Gosh, George Basil's funny, isn't he?
was
As
so
Leaf.
funny.
Leaf is my favorite non-Pete character.
Yeah,
He might
he's
be my favorite
hilarious.
character in the show. Sorry, Pete. I love you, man. But George Basil's killing
And
it
he
on
looked
this
like
show.
Jesus, so it added to that
Yeah.
whole dynamic.
He's a very unintangible funniness about him.
Yeah.
It's that thing where some people are just funny. I think he's got that.
Yeah.
I think my favorite line might be "My name's Peter," short for Pete. I also loved when Artie says, "In high school, I thought the blue part of the globe was the sky, so I'm not very deep." But yeah, I liked this episode, and I liked
good.
this show. Let's quickly talk about predictions. Then I
Okay.
want to talk about what we thought of the show.
Okay.
This is the first season.
Let's do it.
And now.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so predictions for season 2.
All right, well, so I guess I'm gonna go off what I was saying before. You know, since Pete got fired, since that he seems like he desperately wants Jess back. I think that they're gonna start the first 2 or 3 episodes with him chasing after Jess, not Jeff.
I hope so. I'll say yes, Pete.
Chasing after Jess, and I think he's gonna put his stand-up career on hold, thinking that she's what he wants, and he's
Yeah.
gonna find out in season 2 that no, the comedy game is what I want. You know, I can make it without her. There's other fish in the sea.
I think that Leaf is gonna join Pete on his journey as a stand-up comic, and I think there could be a dynamic where Leaf becomes slightly more successful than Pete.
Nice.
Which is going to be incredibly frustrating and annoying for Pete because Leaf had no former aspiration. I feel like he's just going to like try it, pick it up, and he's going to be a natural at it just because he's, you know, naturally funny, as you said.
Yeah.
Other than that, Pete's going to struggle a little bit more. I hope we get introduced into new cameos of like, I don't know if any, like, because it's an HBO show, I'm thinking, I hope Louis C.K. shows up.
I love Louis C.K. Did you watch Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, I did. I saw
His new special, too, is great.
I saw parts of
seen it
it.
yet. I heard it was
the
good.
one, the social media one cracked me up. It was so funny.
Love Louis. Yeah, I actually think those are 2 really good predictions.
Yeah.
It's funny, I agree with you, Josh. I do think they'll do that. I kind of hope they don't.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think both of us agree that, like, the intersection of personal and professional is when the show works the best.
Yes.
So if we take a huge fork in the road and spend a lot of time with Pete and Jessica in Tampa, I don't know if I'm going to love that, but I don't want to say definitively whether I will or not. My instinct says I'm happiest when Pete's in New York.
Me too.
But maybe Jess will move in with him in New York. That might be interesting.
But she doesn't seem like she's interested in Pete. I think when she told
She's
Pete that she
not.
doesn't love him, she meant it.
Yeah,
I mean,
she really found her. This episode was kind of her episode.
Yeah, I thought that she was going to, like I said, I predicted the whole season that she was going to come back and try to be with him. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, now seeing this episode, I'm like, wow, she really doesn't love him.
She found her
Like,
own.
she just doesn't love him.
I could see it going both ways. I really could see it going the way you say. And what's interesting about that is it would force him to evaluate what comedy means to him.
Yeah.
But I kind of hope they don't. Like, I feel like I love Lauren Lapkus, and I thought she had a great episode. I think she's a really talented actress, but I don't know if I need much more Jess in this show as a character, unless something kind of changes with her.
I think she's good as, like, the mechanism that drives the plot forward as it relates to Pete.
Yeah.
Like, she's used in, like, very strategic places.
Agreed.
I agree.
And effectively right now. I could see it becoming problematic in season 2. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it depends on what plot. Like I said before, I think they have two A plots right now, and they have to make a decision. Which one do we want to do?
I like that you brought that up, just because I know, like, with some of my favorite shows, like The Office back in the day, American version, anytime they anytime they veered way too far into, like, the whole romantic line and, like, developing that relationship, I'm like, okay, like, we need Michael Scott to be comic relief, because it would get so annoying to me.
I know
like, people watch the show because it's funny, not just to see the love relationships develop.
I agree. It's a controversial opinion I hold, but, like, I was not always the biggest fan of, like, Jim and Pam. Like, I liked them, but, like, when it was, like, so much Jim and Pam, I was like, what about the rest of the staff and everything?
Yeah. And I like Jim and Pam, but only when it was, like, a small percentage of that, and then the rest is Michael Scott, Dwight's relationship with Jim.
Totally.
See, now I feel like this show's having an identity crisis. Where they
a little bit. I kind of agree.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the show overall.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of season 1 of Crashing? It's done now.
I liked it a lot, but
I liked it a lot,
like I said just now, I think it's a little bit of an identity crisis. You know, I think they can't figure out, or maybe they have it figured out. They just have not balanced it correctly right now. What the main plot should be, which I think. As a panel, we agree that it should be Pete chasing his comedy career.
Yeah. And this is actually very common in first seasons, especially of comedy shows.
Yes.
I think for a first season of a comedy show, this was a really strong debut.
I liked it. Yeah.
And that's not, feeling that stuff out happens a lot. Like in the writer's room, sometimes stuff looks different than when it's shot and on set. The nice thing is now the writers, production, and Pete and Judd really know what the show is. I think what worked really well and what maybe didn't work quite as well. And I really hope they dig into what made this show wonderful. And I think they will. I think especially HBO, I think often really amps up its second seasons of these comedy shows. Togetherness did that. I don't know if you guys watched that show, but the second season was much stronger. I think Girls did that.
I loved the first season of Girls. I thought that was one of the strongest seasons, actually.
Yeah, I liked the first season too, but I thought the second season just kind of upped all the stakes a little bit. That's just me though. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
think oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. I was just gonna say I hope season 2 leans into I think more stakes for Pete.
Yes.
Professionally. And I do think it'd be interesting to see him date other people.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I was going to say, like, if he dates someone in the comedy realm, I think it'll be even more interesting and easier to work into a TV show in the sense that if he has any issues or problems in their relationship, they both can do stand-up about it in a way where it's like a low jab against each other, causing the plot to move forward and
it can be
air out their dirty laundry.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to write. I think that's a great opportunity for the writer's room to explore relationships. And it's true. I think that's something that comedians face a lot, is what it's like dating another comic, what that means for your relationship, and what that means for your stand-up as well.
How much are you allowed to talk about
Right.
without it being bashing
And
the
you're
other
competing
person?
And it
too.
still can keep Jess as a character. I mean, when you're in a relationship with someone else after you were just in a relationship, you still have insecurities, especially with the way that Pete and Jess's relationship ended.
Right.
You know, there's going to be issues that come up that relate to Jess. Even though Jess is not physically being shown on camera, her presence is still there.
Right, agreed. Well, I liked this show a lot. I think it was a really strong first season. You guys know I love Pete Holmes. Pete, if you want to come back,
Come on, Pete. Come back, Pete. Come back.
But
Come back, Holmes.
Come back, Holmes, Pete.
Yeah.
Very good.
I was-
Making
I was-
magic
yeah.
over there, Mina.
I know.
Mina
look at
makes
this.
magic.
But yeah, we'll see season 2 when it comes out next year.
I'm excited.
so-
I liked it.
I am too.
I
liked
liked
it
it
too.
I definitely liked the show.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I really did. I'm excited. I think I would go through and kind of. It's a nice show, I think, to have on, like, if I'm ever cooking or something in the background. There's a sense. Do you know what I mean? That's valid.
I know you meant it as a compliment, but if you were to just take that and then send it to Pete, I don't think he's ever gonna come back
Peter,
here.
you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean, but that is.
It's like a comfort food show.
I get what you're saying, but that is such an insult compliment right there.
It's a backhanded. See,
But
the thing
I know
is,
you meant the best, and with me, I only look at your intentions. So.
they're
Yes,
nice. There it
look at the
is.
intention.
After all that, after all of our reviews throughout the whole season, Jeff ends it with, if I'm cooking, I'll.
I would watch it closely, but there are shows that are so nice to like have on just as like your friends are around, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh, one more question I'm interested in season 2. This show is really about Pete. It's it's not like it's Girls where it's about 4 people or Friends where it's about 6. It's kind of Pete's show. Who do you think will be back for season 2?
Artie.
You think Artie will be
For
back?
sure, he has to be in
I
there.
don't know if
I
Artie will be
want
back.
Sarah Silverman to be back in it.
Yeah.
Artie.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Artie.
And Leaf, I think.
Leaf definitely, like 100%.
Maybe
You
TJ
can't-
Miller for an episode.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
I don't think he'll be in it.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, hopefully.
Billy.
I looked like he was over. Did he see in studio? Well, guys, I guess that finalizes our coverage for season 1 of Crashing. For those who stuck around, thank you so much. We didn't get a comment all season, but maybe next.
We didn't get one last
Comments?
episode.
No,
We got a lot of likes,
After even
though.
We got a
plugging
lot
it.
of likes. You guys like the show.
I've been on after shows that had more views but less likes.
Yeah, that's true. So there you go.
It's like people are just like, yep.
They exist.
Yep.
If you want to fill our hearts with love and support, just be like hi. Just say that in the comments.
That's really
It's
funny.
on YouTube, guys. For those who only listen.
That
Send
is
me a shout out.
hilarious.
Send Mina a shout out.
Send me a shout out. That way I know
Um,
that you're listening right now.
But we'll be back for season 2, so we'll see you guys in 365 days. But until then, you can catch us in other places. I'll tell you where you can catch me, Jeff Graham, who can be found on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham. I host a show on Fridays called The Unproduced Table Read. It's on Popcorn Talk, and we actually Josh produces it, which is great. We table read pilots and feature scripts, and we cover a lot of content sort of like this with the writers in studio with Q&As. So I'd really love for you guys to tune in. I think if you like this show, you would like that show. So that's Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific, or on the podcast, The Unproduced Table Read. Joshua.
I'm Josh Rodriguez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh_Rodriguez_. You can find me on BHL Sports Weekly. We're also trying to do a little sports thing here at AfterBuzz, so look out for that.
Yes.
And my name is Mina Wahab. You can find me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic. And please tune in to the Girls season finale coming up on Sunday.
Yes.
Also, we had another panelist, Michael Rippey.
Yeah, Rips, we missed
You
you
can follow
today.
him at Mike Rips, and also follow his new show, Meet the Host. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
It's great. It's
He
very
has
interesting.
he has a new webisode, Meet the Host, where he interviews hosts. So check that out.
This is my last horse, shameless self-promotion.
Okay.
I wrote and directed a sketch series called Improv 101, guys. That's going to be dropping soon. We're not quite exactly sure in what medium, but we premiered it last night. So I'm sure a lot of people who listen to the show are fans of improv comedy. The show is a send-up of your kind of entry-level improv class with a lot of the common characters and archetypes you see show up into class like that. So follow me on Twitter, and I'll be releasing it and promoting it there, and I'd love for you to watch.
One more thing.
And one more thing. No,
No, seriously.
I'm just joking.
I have a podcast on Anchor called 10 Minute Drill. Follow us at 10 Minute Drill. Wouldn't it be hilarious if we just went back and forth for the next 5
Also-
minutes with the AfterBuzz theme playing in the background? Yeah. Marissa's probably just shaking
Marissa
her
wants
head
to kill us right now. We're almost done, Marissa. All right, cool.
guys,
But
for
that's
real,
season, guys.
for
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next season, and thank you very much. Pete, we love you. We'll see you again. Bye.
See ya.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.